Om Sai Ram and welcome to Sri Sai Satcharitra series. Today we are taking up chapter 39. This chapter is yet another interesting and beautiful chapter of Sri Sai Satcharitra where Baba imparts the knowledge of Gita. His interpretation of a verse from Gita and construction of the Samadhi Mandir are the two topics taken up in this chapter. This chapter 39 deals with Baba's interpretation of a verse from the Bhagavad Gita, as some people believed that Baba had little knowledge of Sanskrit, but by the interpretation of Nana Sahib Chandorkar's query, Hemat Pant refuted that charge in chapter number 50 as it deals with the same subject matter and hence it is incorporated in this chapter. Preliminary. Blessed is Shirdi and blessed is Dwarka Mai where Sai lived and moved until he took Mahasamadhi. Blessed are the people of Shirdi whom he obliged and for whom he lived there. Shirdi was a small village first, but it attained importance on account of his contact and became a tirtha, holy place of pilgrimage. Equally blessed are the women folk of Shirdi. Blessed is their whole and undivided faith in him. They sang the glories of Baba while bathing, grinding, pounding corn, and doing other household work. Baba's interpretation. Nobody believed that Baba knew Sanskrit. One day, he surprised all by giving an interpretation of a verse from the Gita to Nana Sahib Chandorkar. A brief account about this matter was written by Mr. B.V. Dev, retired Mamlatdar, and published in Marathi in Sri Sai Leela magazine, volume 4. Short accounts of the same are also published in Sai Baba's Charters and Sayings, page 61, and Wanderer's Saint Sai Baba, page 36. Both by B.V. Narasimha Swami and Mr. B.V. Dev has also given an English version of this statement. So let's now continue with the story. Nana Sahib Chandorkar was a good student of Vedanta. He had read Gita with commentaries. He fancied that Baba knew nothing of Sanskrit texts. So Baba one day pricked the bubble. These were the days before crowds flocked to Baba, when Baba had individual meetings at the mosque with such devotees. Nana was sitting near Baba and massaging his legs and muttering something under his breath. Baba said, Nana, what are you mumbling to yourself? Nana said, I am reciting a shloka. Baba said, what shloka? Nana, from Bhagavad Gita. Baba said, say it loudly. Nana then recited Bhagavad Gita 4, shloka 34, which is as follows. तद्वृद्धि परिनिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेक्षन्ति ते ज्ञानम ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः. Baba said, Nana, do you understand it? Nana said, yes. Then Baba said, if you do, then tell me its meaning. Nana said, it means this, making Shashtang Namaskar, that is prostration, asking the Guru, serving him, learn what his knowledge is. Then those who have attained the real knowledge of the Sadvastu or Brahma will give you Upadesha, which is instruction of knowledge. To this Baba said, Nana, I do not want this sort of collected purport of the whole stanza. Give me each word, its grammatical force and meaning. Then Nana explained it word by word. Baba said, Nana, is it enough to merely make prostration? Nana, I do not know any other meaning of the word pranipat than making prostration. Baba said, what is pariprashna? Nana said, asking questions. Baba said, what does prashna mean? Nana, the same, questioning. Baba said, If Pariprashna means the same as Prashna, which is question, why did Vyas add the prefix Pari? Was Vyas off his head? Nana said, I do not know of any other meaning for the word Pariprashna. Baba said, Seva. What sort of seva is meant? Nana said, just what we are doing to you. Baba said, is it enough to render such service? Nana said, I do not know what more is signified by the word seva. Baba said, in the next line, Upadeksham Tite Jnanam, can you read any other word in lieu of Jnanam? Nana said, yes. Baba said, what word? Nana said, Ajnanam. Baba asked, taking that word instead of Gyan, is any meaning made out of the verse? Nana said, no. Shankara Bhashya gives no such construction. Baba said, never mind, if he does not. If there is any objection in using the word Gyan, if it gives a better sense. Nana said, I do not understand how to construe by placing Agyan in it. Baba said, why does Krishna refer Arjun to Tattvadarshis to do his prostration, interrogation, and service? Was not Krishna a Tattvadarshi, in fact, Gyan himself? Nana said, yes, he was. But I do not make out why he referred Arjun to Gyanis. Baba said, have you not understood this? Now Nana was humiliated. His pride was knocked down. Then Baba began to explain. It is not enough merely to prostrate before the Gyanis. We must make Sarvasva Sharanagati, complete surrender to the Sadguru. Mere questioning is not enough. The question must not be made with any improper motive or attitude, or to trap the Guru and catch mistakes in the answer, or out of idle curiosity. It must be earnest with a view to achieve spiritual progress or liberation. Seva is not rendering service with the feeling that one is free to offer or refuse service. One must feel that he is not the master of the body, that the body is Guru's and exists merely to render service to him. If this is done, the Sadguru will show you what the knowledge referred to in the previous stanza is. Nana did not understand what is meant by saying that a guru teaches Agyan. Baba said, how is Gyan Upadesh, that is imparting of realization, to be affected? Destroying ignorance is Gyan. Expelling darkness means light. Destroying duality, Dvaita, means non-duality, Advaita. So whenever we speak of destroying Dvaita, we speak of Advaita. Whenever we talk of destroying darkness, we talk of light. If we have to realize the Advaita state, the feeling of Dvaita in ourselves has to be removed. That is realization of the Advaita state. Who can speak of Advaita while remaining in Dvaita state? Unless one gets into that state of non-duality, how can one know it or realize it? Again, the Shishya, disciple, like the Sadguru, is the embodiment of Gyan. The difference between the two lies in the attitude. High realization of Sadguru and his marvelous superhuman sattva and unrivaled capacity and Aishwarya Yoga. The Sadguru is Nirgun, Sachidanand. He has indeed taken human form to elevate mankind and raise the world. But his real Nirgun nature is not destroyed thereby even a bit. His existence, divine power and wisdom remain undiminished. The disciple also is in fact of the same Swarupa, but it is overlaid by the effect of the sanskars of innumerable births in the shape of ignorance, which veils this view that he is Shuddha Chaitanya. As stated therein, he gets the impressions: I am Jiva, a creature meek and poor. The Guru has to root out these offshoots of ignorance and has to give upadesh or instruction to the disciple held spellbound for endless generations by the ideas of being a Jiva. The Guru imparts the teaching: You are God, you are mighty and opulent. Then he realizes that God is the reality, the perpetual delusion under which the disciple is laboring, that he is the body, that he is a creature or ego, that God and the world are different from him, is an ignorance inherited from innumerable past births. From actions based on it, he has derived his joy, sorrows, and mixtures of both. To remove this delusion, this error, this root ignorance, he must start the inquiry. How did the ignorance arise? Where is it? And to show him, this is called Guru's Upadesh. The following are the instances of Agyan. Number 1, I am Jiva, which is the creature. Number 2, body is the soul, or I am the body. Number 3, God, world, and Jiva are different. Number 4, I am not God. Number 5, not knowing that body is not the soul. And sixth and the last one, not knowing that God, world, and Jiva are one and the same. Unless these errors are exposed to his view, the disciple cannot learn what is God, Jiva, world, body, how they are interrelated, and whether they are different from each other or are one and the same. To teach him these and destroy his ignorance in this instruction, in Gyan or Agyan, why should Gyan be imparted to the Jiva? Who is Jnanamurti? Upadesh is merely to show him his error and destroy his ignorance. Baba further added, Pranipat implies complete surrender. Surrender must be of body, mind, and wealth. Why should Krishna refer to other jnanis? Sadbhakt takes everything to be Vasudev. That is, any guru would be Krishna to the devotee, and guru takes disciple to be Vasudev. As Sri Krishna knows that there are such gurus and disciples, he refers Arjun to them so that their greatness be known. So this was how Baba explained this beautiful scene of Bhagavad Gita to Nana Sahib Chandorkar. All present over there were satisfied with his explanation. Now we take up the topic construction of the Samadhi Mandir. Baba never made any fuss about things which he wanted to accomplish, but he so skillfully arranged the circumstances that the people were surprised at the slow but sure results attained. The construction of the Samadhi Mandir is an instance. Shriman Bapu Saheb Bhuti, the famous multimillionaire of Nagpur, lived in Shirdi with his family. Once, an idea arose in his mind that he should have a building of his own there. Some time after this, while he was sleeping in Dikshitwara, he got a vision. Baba appeared in his dream and ordered him to build a vada with a temple. Shama, who was sleeping there, also got a similar vision. When Bapu Saheb awoke, he saw Shama crying and asked the latter as to why he was in tears. Shama replied that in his vision, Baba came to him and ordered distinctly, build the vada with the temple. I shall fulfill the desires of all. On hearing the sweet and loving words of Baba, I was overpowered with emotion. My throat was choked, my eyes were overflowing with tears, and I began to cry. Bapu Sahib was surprised to see that both their visions tallied. Being a rich and capable man, he decided to build a vada and drew up a plan with Shama. Kaka Sahib Dikshit also approved of it, and when it was placed before Baba, he also sanctioned it immediately. Then the construction work was duly started, and under the supervision of Shama, the ground floor, the cellar, and the wall were completed. The well was also constructed. Baba, on his way to and from Lendi, also suggested some improvements. Further work was entrusted to Bapu Saheb Jog, and then when it was going on, an idea struck Bapu Saheb Bhuti's mind that there should be an open space or platform, and in the center, the image of Murlidhar, Lord Krishna with the flute, be installed. He asked Shama to refer this matter to Baba and get his consent. The latter asked Baba about this when he was just passing by the Vada. On hearing Shama, Baba gave his consent, saying, "After the temple is complete, I will come here to stay." And staring at the Vada, he added, "After the Vada is complete, we shall use it ourselves. We shall live, move, and play there, embrace each other, and be happy." Then Shama asked Baba whether this was the auspicious time to begin the foundation work of the central room of the shrine. Baba answered in the affirmative. Then Shama got a coconut broken there and started the work. In due time, the work was completed, and an order was also placed for making a good image of Murlidhar. But before it was ready, a new situation turned up. Baba became seriously ill. Bapu Sahib became very sad and dejected, thinking that if Baba passed away, his Vada would not be consecrated by the holy touch of Baba's feet, and that all his money, about a lakh of rupees, would be wasted away. But the words, "Keep me in the Vada," which came out of Baba's word, which came out of Baba's mouth just before his passing away, consoled not only Babu Sahib but one and all. In due time, Baba's holy body was placed and preserved in the central shrine meant for Murlidhar, and Baba himself became Murlidhar, and the Vada thus became the Samadhi Mandir of Sai Baba. This wonderful Leela is unfathomable. Blessed and fortunate is Bapu Sahib Bhuti, in whose Vada lies the holy and pure body of Baba. Bow to Sri Sai, peace be to all. Om Sai Ram, and thank you so much for listening. Om Sai Ram, and sincere gratitude to all of you for listening Sri Sai Satcharitra Daily English series. Our Baba is none other than Sri Krishna himself. So reading Sri Sai Satcharitra is nothing different from reading Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Hence, I would like to suggest or recommend highly that please start the Parayan of this book if not yet done. This book is a noble form of worship, and it is pure nectar, pure bliss to read Sri Sai Satcharitra, the Leelas and pastimes of Baba's life. Thank you again. Om Sai Ram.